What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good morning, everybody. This is Love Coach Scott Thomas, and welcome to our Sacred Sunday edition of the Awakening World. I want to welcome everybody in our Zoom room. I see some of our favorite regulars, and always let us know where you're coming from geographically. It's always good to see that. Thank you, Christine, from jumping right in there. And I also want to welcome those of you who are watching on Facebook or one of the YouTube channels. And a big hello to all of our friends on Unify. It's been a powerful and, for many of us, a very challenging week. Obviously, the war, I'm sure, is impacting all of us, breaking our hearts open with some of the images and the awareness of what's going on. And it's interesting that at the same time that much of our attention is focused on this horrific war overseas, we've dedicated this weekend, and we scheduled this 2 months ago, to really understanding what social and racial justice really means. And I want to start that. The idea for it came because I realized I have all these people that I respect, that are people of color, that are on my shows and that talk about these things, but I really don't. How can I possibly, as a privileged white man, really understand what social justice really looks like, what racial justice really means? And so I've really kind of dedicated this weekend to inviting a number of people that I have tremendous respect for to share their wisdom, to share their understanding. And the conversations have been deep. I know many of you have been with us on Friday night and Saturday night, and they were both really remarkable shows. And we're going to continue that conversation this morning, really dropping into what are some of the action steps we can take. What can we really do to make a difference? So for those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube, I want to invite you to come on into our Zoom room, because it's going to be a dynamic conversation. It's easier for us to answer your questions. I do take a look at my computer a lot and see what's going on Facebook and try and bring those thoughts and comments in. But if you can join us in the Zoom room, that would be great. And that's easy to do. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, and register. You will get links to all of our shows for the Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday shows, and also for some of our special events. So please do join us. All right, welcome everybody, and again, it's great to see some of our regulars. Omashar, coming all the way from Peru. Wanda, I've so appreciated your comments this weekend. I'm going to start by bringing on board I've been calling him my co-pilot for the weekend. And it's interesting to note, I first met Shariff, actually, he was referred by a very good mutual friend of ours, Vineet Allen, to be on one of our shows talking about the environment. But as I've grown to know this amazing man, he has such, I so resonate, Shariff, with your big picture vision of what we need to do and the eloquence and honesty in which you share that. So before we introduce Oshalla and Dr. Marty, I'd love to just open it up to any initial thoughts you'd like to share.
Well, my first and most initial thought is good morning, everybody. Good to be here again. And it's almost like being with Scott over this past 3 days, we've taken a different perspective on this common issue of racial justice, social justice, and I think now we could also add spiritual justice. Where are we going as a species, the human species? Where is the earth going, and are we going with her, or are we going against her? And right now we know that there's a large part of our human population that is definitely going in the direction of pain, the direction of negativity, the direction of our hearts are here and we're going in the other direction. And so our challenge, I think, is how do we actually start acting like we are one? How do we actually start to erase the barriers between us, because every possible barrier is an illusion? How do we actually grow into the next phase for our humanity? And in doing that, curing all of these things that we call divisions and separations, etc. Not by sweeping them under the rug, not by pretending that we're somebody that we're not, but by all of us coming together and recognizing that we are in the process of creating a world that works for all living beings. And as I said on the Saturday show, that's not your goal. You really need to examine what your goal is. I have an awful lot more to say, and I'm going to reserve and save that at a later point in time. So, good to be with you today.
Thank you so much, Shariff. And yes, of course, we're going to be hearing a lot from Shariff. Our other two presenters that we have scheduled for today are my dear friend Oshalla and Dr. Marty Casey. I'm going to bring Dr. Marty on first. And many of you who are regulars have seen Dr. Marty on some of my other shows. She is the founder of the Undone Institute. She's also a very talented and brilliant actress. And I know that she's done that. And she also recently received the Presidential Lifetime Award. And so, Dr. Marty, thank you for your work. And I invited you because it is about today, it's what are action steps. And you are someone who is constantly taking action steps to bring about social and racial justice. So thank you, welcome, and what are your initial thoughts that you'd like to share?
Well, first of all, good morning to all. And thank you, Scott, for having me here. I'm starting to feel like I'm a regular now. And so I appreciate you in this friendship and sharing this platform. I want to keep this really brief and simple. First of all, let me tell you what I do at Undone. Undone Institute basically is a process that I have created that helps individuals transformationally, if you will, to disarm from trauma. The world that we live in right now is full of trauma, hurt, and pain. And we have to get to a point in a place where we are able to not only disarm that, but remove that from our systems, because that is what creates the feelings that we respond to as to the choices that we make, which tells our minds what to think, and then the mind tells the body what to do. So when I look at it from that formula that God has allowed me to create, everything that I personally do is from that space of healing. The other thing I have to say is that I come into this room with my opinion and my experiences, my belief systems. And if you can relate, I'm grateful for that. If you cannot, I ask that you respectfully understand that it comes from who I am in Black America as a Black woman who I am unapologetically acclaimed to be. I'm wearing a shirt today that says Black is not a crime.
Amen.
It's not a crime. And I hope that today that I can help us move forward in a positive way, becoming one, accepting each other for who we are. I want you to see Black because that's who I am. As I see white, I see red, I see yellow, I see brown, I see all of these colors because we have been made to come together to be better together. And that is our purpose. And in order for us to reach peace, which is what we say we really want to do, I want to leave you with this last thought. In order to reach peace, that means we must strengthen equality and equity. But in order to strengthen those two areas will be weakened: power and privilege. So I challenge you today to really think about what we pray for. We're praying for peace, but that means we have to balance some things out. And when it is unbalanced and you start to feel the trauma hit, you respond from that, again, from your place of experiences and belief systems and understandings. And that is where we're having some issues. And later on, I will give some action steps as to how we can begin to dance together and not step on each other's toes and get to that place of peace. Thank you, Scott, for having me.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Dr.
Amen, Dr. Casey.
I want to absolutely, and all of you are invited to speak absolutely honestly from the heart. We've got a mature group of people watching. And I just want to mention before I bring up Oshalla, I just was taking a look, and we've got people watching on Unify from Croatia, Spain, Portugal, all over the United States and Canada. And I really love that this is becoming, and thank you to Unify, truly a global broadcast of people from all over the world, because we all do want to learn. We all want to understand. We're all learning together. That is what is happening now. We all are learning together. In introducing Oshalla, I want to start by introducing a baby that Oshalla gave birth to, which is a really beautiful example of action steps. She created, along with others, the Marin City Arts Gallery. And it's an arts gallery. It's also a place where people dance and do workshops, and where Black artists, creators, teachers, entrepreneurs, makers can all come together. And there's all sorts of amazing activities going there. And to run and operate a brick and mortar building in today's time is extraordinarily difficult. I mean, that is really hard. So I just want us to take that in, because as I introduced Oshalla, I can talk about how I've worked with her for many, many years. She first came to work for me when she was 21 years old. I had a theater company, and she worked with me there. We worked at the Laurel Springs camp together, Jane Fonda's ranch. And she's always been someone who takes action steps to move our world forward. So with no further ado, my friend Oshalla.
Greetings, everyone. I want to give props to the ancestors, and the ancestors that we all spring from, and those ancestors that populated the four roads going up out of the continent of Africa into the subcontinent of Europe, India, China, coming into the Americas. I want to acknowledge those ancestors. And all of you that are in this audience, I want you to take a moment and call your ancestors into the space. And I want you to think of a favorite ancestor that you're bringing in today and call that ancestor in. So let's just take a moment, and who is that for you? Call in an ancestor that is driving who you are at this moment. And if you have a glass of water or something and you're next to a plant, you can pour a little libation in to just really give life and connect your ancestor to this earth plane that you're on. Ashe. Amen. So I want to, it's very important for me to call in our ancestors to remind us that we stand on the shoulders of our elders, and our elders are linked to the ancestors. We stand on the shoulders of the elders, no matter how stooped those shoulders had to be to get through what they were doing, or no matter how, we may say from the modern context, ignorant they might have been. They were in the time that they were. And so I want to link that acknowledgement to what Shariff and Dr. Casey was saying, that sense of where do we go, how do we connect as one, and then how do we heal from trauma. I see this planet and the world as always having this balance of polarity, of masculine and feminine, of dark and light. Some might even say evil and good, which is that's a little more problematic because it's all kind of one. And what I feel is that dance is always going to happen. It's like our left hand and our right hand. The question for me, or the inquiry that I invite people to step into, is where do you want to focus your energy? Because there's always going to be people are saying, oh, this is the worst time. No. Think about 500 years ago on this subcontinent, what was going on. Think about what was going on 50 years ago. We live in the best of times. We live in the worst of times. And I feel that as long as we're on this planet, that's always going to be. Maybe it's a big experiment for us to be able to, okay, you're here. Where are you going to put your focus and attention on? And then you'll be able to have that fortitude to be able to withstand whatever comes to you. The trauma, because we live in that dance, that trauma is also going to be there. And so when we are looking at putting our focus on, where is the healing? For me, the healing is obviously in the art of collectives, cooperatives, people working together, and the arts. I feel like the arts really do bring people together. That's a big one. That's something that I've committed my entire life to. So that's how I wanted to connect all of the things that I've just heard and introduce myself. Thank you.
Woo-hoo. I got to just jump in real quick, Scott, and say, why are you just now linking me up to this sister? Because she is my twin sister.
Stop it.
Everything I do is arts-based. Everything.
All right.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited about today.
Okay, and we're gonna have to hook you up with the gallery. You put some stuff up in there. And then she's from my hometown, it's not my hometown, but where my people are from, St. Louis, Missouri. Okay.
I'm excited. This is awesome.
It's interesting because there's been a lot of connecting like that. It happened again last night. Almost all the presenters last night were having moments like this with each other. And I love that. I feel like a proud papa. So thank you also, Oshalla, for bringing in our ancestors. That is so important. And I just want to mention that as a culture, really it's been in our lifetime that we've learned about epigenetics and that we carry the trauma of our ancestors. And sometimes people go into blaming their problems on their ancestors. Oh, I've got this family lineage of alcoholism. But it's so important for us to honor and respect our ancestors and to recognize that we are so privileged and so blessed. And our ancestors had incredibly difficult lives, lives that we can barely imagine. And we're here, and a lot of the freedom that we have and a lot of the freedom we're seeking to have is because of what our ancestors went through. So let's honor our ancestors always fully. So thank you for that, Oshalla. I also want to just again welcome everybody to give us questions. I am going to go through and read questions from Unify and Facebook, and of course from our Zoom room, and try and get to them as much as we possibly can. So Terry Russo has a question, and I'm going to read it and then ask each of you to respond as you feel inspired. She writes, humans are so complicated. Somehow we have to pull in everyone to feel how we are all connected, just not sure how to do it. And I interpret that to mean, how can we acknowledge our own individual life, our integrity of who we are, the color of our skin, the beliefs we grew up with, the beliefs that we have, and genuinely, authentically connect with others, and specifically people of color that we have prejudice about, that we have fear of. What works and what doesn't work? And talk about what doesn't work is also equally important. So I'm just going to open it up to whoever wants to respond first.
Can I jump in with that, because you had said that before, and I see this person, Nancy, that has this issue with she's saying that everyone in the world is brown, but that's a whole nother subject. But I want to say that I very much practice the second principle of Kwanzaa, Kujichagulia. And there's two terms that I am not quite, that I don't, embody myself, but other may embody it for me. And I also speak for others, but not for everybody. Minority is one. I am not a minority. I'm a minority in the United States of America. That's been a convenient way to keep people kind of, in a position. So I have deep conversations about what that is, to being a minority and to perpetually live your life being called a minority, and what that brings up then for like, who's the majority and what does that even mean? And the other one for me, because this is kind of recent, is the people of color. I tend to call in people's, very immediate, reality. Like I often ask people, who are your people? And your people might just, but that's just, I know in the Black community, we often just ask that, who are your people? My people from Alabama, or, people might say, oh yeah, I come from Tennessee, or yeah, my mama was, but just really those blanket terms, my experience is very different from a people of color Chinese man or an Indian woman from the sub-Indian continent. And I'm just going to be real and say that I feel like our conversation in the United States has been so painful, of not wanting to have a conversation about race, that we're willing to jump over race into like lumping everybody in, let's not talk about Black people. Let's not talk about Indigenous people. Even calling everybody brown, so what, it doesn't, and Nancy, I know you're really strong about that, because I always see her typing in chat about everybody is brown. And, that could be true, but everyone doesn't acknowledge as brown. And we have to respect where people feel like they are. I don't consider myself, I use the word Black specifically because when I think of African peoples throughout the world, they may be on the continent of Africa, they may be in the islands, they may be in America. I feel like the term Blackness was really, because race is a complete construct. it doesn't really exist. It doesn't exist. But racism exists because there was a period in history where it just so happened that African peoples had we call it the Mafa, which is similar to the Holocaust. And that was very race specific. So the labels, those two labels, minority and people of color. So I use African, I use African American, I use Black, but I remind people of that ancestry that we're, rather than being a minority, we're a majority in the world. And what does that really mean for us as we work together, all work together, and Black folks working together? Because right now we're catching hell all around the world, those images in the Ukraine. So I just needed to put that in there. I just needed to say that.
Well, Scott, I would like to jump in on that, because I think this is a really, really important point. And I don't want to dismiss it. I don't want to paper over it. I think Oshalla has hit something right on the head. And I think that we need to be careful and respectful for that. Not only is it important for me to define me as far as I can, and considering how we did slavery in the days, I can't go too much further back than Africa or West Africa. But similarly, I think it's really important for people who refer to themselves as white to dig up their own heritage. You got a heritage. You came
Amen, amen, amen.
And I know there are lots of people who are a friend of mine, second generation Italian. And she says, well, I'm white. It's like, no, you're second generation Italian. You've got this amazingly rich history. And you've got stuff that you need to live down, okay? There's stuff that you need to live up to and stuff that you need to live down from. Accept all of yourself, okay? Don't buy your myth, live your life. I noticed some of the comments that were in the chat today and some of the comments that were in there yesterday. So I'm going to tell you about something I did with a group of high school students 20, 30 years ago. This is the Oregon Governor School for Citizen Leadership, and I was one of the core faculty for that. And so I had all 60 of these kids, primarily white, Oregon is Oregon. So they reflected folks from all over the state. And when so I had them every day. And for one of the days, I said, the only thing they all came in. The only thing I said was, I want everyone wearing white underwear to stand on this side of the room. And I want everyone wearing underwear of color to stand on that side of the room. That's all I said. How long do you think it took them to start fighting over underwear? It's about 30 seconds. And when they did this division and their catcalling and their name calling and you so such and such, etc., how long did the fight last? It lasted for 4 days, when I called a halt to it by saying, anyone who mentions underwear ever again, I will have expelled. And I did that because I was afraid it was about to become violent. They were already separate, like I don't want her as a roommate because she was wearing the wrong color their underwear. All the people sitting at this table are people with colored underwear, and these people over here were the white people, And at first it was ha 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 ha, and then it stopped being funny, And then folks are coming to my room in tears. So-and-so won't speak to me anymore because, and she says, I changed my underwear today, but it was the day that it's like, you are the day that we established this, etc. Now, I think that there's something in us that bonds, that can connect across any possible separation. I mean, people connect with their dogs. People connect with their actually, you don't connect with reptiles, but people connect with, the birds. People connect with their tree. They'll hug a tree. But similarly, there's something in us that we can trigger separation. So although you look alike, you act alike, you speak the same language, you just start killing each other. And it could be over something, and much of the conflict we have in the world is not what you did to me. It's what your great-great-great-grandfather did to my great-great-great-grandfather. I'm gonna pause there, but I just want us to recognize that we've got to see this tendency that exists in all of us. And my two sisters here are going to recognize that in the Black community, we've had a division over color. We've had division over class. You're so uppity, you're bourgeois, you're middle class, etc. We've had divisions over what part of the country you were born in. And what we have to do is start recognizing that whatever that thing is that erases those divisions, we need to hold that right there, right here in our hearts. And when we do, we'll then start seeing some changes made.
I have a question for all of you. Thank you,
Would I
Shariff.
get to answer that, Scott?
Yes, let me just, because I want to riff on it and ask the question, which is connected, and then definitely, Marty, you go. Is it possible that what you're referencing is that in human nature, because we are lost in the illusion of separation, most of us are, I'm all alone in this body, so we seek connection through our tribe or friends or whoever we can feel are family or tribe or similar. And conversely, we make others wrong as a way of feeling special. That most human beings want to feel special, want to feel closer to God, want to be the chosen people, or the right, a little bit further up, whatever is of value, whether it's money or spiritual. We all want to feel a little more special. So we find people that we can get together with and feel safe with, and then create a sense of special by making people that don't look like us or aren't from our same tribe or our same whatever bad or wrong. Does that feel like the fundamental human element that causes that?
I don't
So-
know. I think Marty wants to say something. I want to I definitely have a response to that, Scott, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know where we are on the screen, but you're here and he's there.
I've got all four of you on screen, actually. So
Okay, so
go ahead, Marty.
I want to first speak to the very first question, which was asked, that humans are complicated and how can you pull us all together? Right now, I would like everyone to just close your eyes. Just close your eyes for a second, please. We all look the same right now because we are all human. Humanity is what pulls us together. We are not birds. We are not trees. We are not animals. We are humans. And that is who we are. Now open your eyes. Now you may see differences in each of those humans. And that is okay, because our culture and our experiences is what makes us different. But we should never feel like one has more value than the next. One of the greatest moments of my childhood is when they took crayons of just 8 colors to a 64 pack. That was one of my greatest childhood moments. Why? Something so simple. Why did that mean so much? Because I felt like I had more choices, more choices to create, more choices to be accepting of, to value. And why would we ever want to just have one choice? Right now, that's what's happening in the war that we're seeing. One person has made a decision, one man has made a decision to fight a whole war affecting the whole world. I want many choices. I want everybody's voice to be heard. I want every culture to move forward. So to your second question, no, Scott, I don't live in that place where I feel like I want white privilege to diminish so blacks can be higher than whites. No, I want us all to equally live in peace. And in order for that to happen, we have to always be open to the idea of not leaving anyone behind. It's not about who's out front. It's about, did we leave anybody behind? And I think if we put the focus, if we zoom in on that more often, then seeing what's different, what we have that is alike, that we are all human, of the human race, we will never leave our brothers and sisters behind. Scott, I don't look anything like you. You don't look anything like me. If we were to go over our life, it probably would be totally different. But I love you like you was my own blood brother because of the way you show up in my life. And that is what we can do to connect us more. Find the things that are the same. If we have a 5,000 piece puzzle and we put all the pieces together and one piece is missing, that puzzle is incomplete.
Thank you.
Yes, Ashe.
Ashe, God bless you.
Oh, who said that? Oh, so I want to round, continue to flow with what Dr. Marty is saying and what Dr. Sharice. I'm having a good time just kind of taking what they've said and then move it forward because they're both coming from powerful places. Shariff, what you said about just in the Black community, the different ways that we have put each other down. Again, it tended to be referencing from the external, like, so you're Black, you Philhan, you House Negro, you're mulatto, you are octoroon, you are quadroon. And we understand that it was based on a comparison to something that we thought was better and more privileged that we could all be going for, right? And it caused those divides. One thing that I have noticed is that when a people, and I'm speaking specifically of our people, those that migrated from that second great migration of the South up here, is that the more that we as now humanity are moving in a similar direction, that there's less of that. It's like my grandparents came out to California in 1942 to work in the World War II efforts. There was a lot of, nothing's ever perfect, of course, but there was a lot of, unity at that time because people were moving. They were moving in the same direction. They saw a vision. And I feel that the earth, Dr. Marty, what you were saying about, our humanity, we're not birds, we're not trees, but we are on the planet Earth. Yeah. And I feel like the more that we really acknowledge that we're on the mother, and what do we do as a species to be in harmony with that in a system that has like taken us out of harmony. If we're talking about pharmaceutical companies, we're talking about just oil drilling and all the things that literally rape Mother Earth. So I do feel like there's something in nature that is the healer for us as humanity to come together. Because when Mama starts shaking and she starts blowing, it's like all that division is like, whoa, wait a minute, neighbor, can I get in your boat that you had? Can I borrow some food for my baby? Because nature is the first and the last, as it is in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. And nature is always going to have the first word, last word.
Yeah.
Yes, we should be very respecting of all of those things. I wasn't saying it in the sense of we're not those things or not responsible for those things, because we are. However, God made us humans.
Yes.
And when we close our eyes, we all are the same.
Oh no, I got that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't refuting what you were saying.
No, I'm
Not
agreeing.
at all.
I'm agreeing with you, sister. I doubt if there's ever anything you're gonna say that would make me disagree. Because
You don't know. We don't know that
already.
We don't know that. But I want to say, Dr. Marty, I have a friend. His name is Carter Collins. He's blind.
Mm-hmm.
He said something so deep once. He said, I had to be completely blind in order to see.
Woo! Come on. See, all right, let me tell you.
So
I
that's
cannot
what you
hear.
know.
I cannot hear in my left ear. I lost my hearing completely in my left ear when I turned 25 to a rare disease. And only when I lost my hearing is when I spiritually gained the ability to hear, to truly hear a higher power. Do you understand what I'm? So tell your friend I completely understand what he's saying. My God, my God.
He remembers everybody's phone number to this day. Everybody's phone number that he knows is in his head. In a time where we're all like totally distracted and have so many phone numbers, to just see like, wow, when things happen that may appear as unfortunate, total blindness, where are the blessings in that? And so that's again another thing that I point to. Things may look really horrific at this moment, but they always have, and they always will be. But things look totally beautiful, and they always have, and they always will be. Yeah. So, I have my two hands right now. Oh, if one got cut off, that looks totally awful. And then what happens is I move on. I mean, that seems to me what life is teaching. This life teaches us.
I want to connect with both of those themes here. And I have to say, I was not feeling well last night, and I'm not feeling well today, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to be with us for the entire time we're today.
You look good.
I can't help that, but can't help that. I can put a bag over my head or something. No, I'm vertical, but I'm struggling with it. Okay. So I wanted to say a couple of things. I want to first of all respond to a few of the things that Scott said. I want to caution you that the point of view that you gave of us being relatively isolated, us struggling with each other, us trying to feel safe, is a middle-class American point of view. Okay. I've been to 45 countries. I've been to 120 or 130 different cultures. And there are lots and lots of cultures in the world where that, like, unsafe, what's unsafe about it? Okay. I want to give you an experience, and I don't want to call any names right now. This was a young man who came to work with me some decades ago. And he had an experience in town. This is a young white guy, and there were, and I was living in like the heart of the Black population in Portland. And one time when I was out of town, some Black guys ganged up on him and beat him up. He had a cut on his nose. And that experience has become the kind of the most shaping, the most traumatic, and the most defining experience of his life. He did a TED Talk, and the whole thing is revolved around this experience. If that were true for me, that would, first time I got my butt beat was around 11 years old, and kind of continued for, it's kind of this growing experience. And I shrug most of them off, okay? And so I don't want to minimize his experience, but if the worst thing that's ever happened to you in your life is, some guys beat you up while you need to have a deeper life, okay? Having said that though, okay, I think that we do reach out to each other for lots and lots of different reasons. I think that there are, somewhere in what the scientists call junk DNA, there are all these elements that say, I want to bond with you. I want to connect with you. One of the things as I'm traveling in the world, when I hear someone speaking American English, it's like, oh, okay, there's somebody that I can connect with. Now, if I'm at home, I may have nothing to do with those folks, but out in the middle of Poland, it's like, oh my goodness, yeah, And so I think that we can use that in order for us to connect with each other. I'm going to say two more things because, and I was going to space these out in other places, but like I said, even as I'm talking to you, I feel like I'm fading here. One of the things is Sister Oshalla was mentioning bringing in the ancestors, and so I wanted to bring in, if I may, my ancestors and my descendants. Here, this is going to be interesting. So, this is Francis Lightfoot Lee, and if you know anything about American history, you know that he was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence and was considered a patriot in the Revolutionary War, etc. He married well, and his father-in-law gave him 500 acres in Virginia and gave him about 100 slaves. This guy, Daniel Gordon, is my great-great-grandfather. I may be missing a few greats in there, but this is the oldest descendant that I recognize, and he was a slave on the Menachem plantation owned by Francis Lightfoot Lee. They were in the same family. They were in a family that was as dysfunctional as a family can get when one's part of the family thinks it owns the other part of the family.
Ooh, tell it. Ooh.
And so, and this is something that is this is the truth in our, not only in our personal lives, but also the truth in our social life as a country. We know Thomas Jefferson was one of the most brilliant people, one of our most brilliant presidents, was the draft of the Declaration of Independence, and said, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with inalienable rights. You can't take the rights away. And as he's sitting in his plantation, writing these words, he looks out the window and he sees his 200 slaves working for him. He goes back to writing because in his mind, he can make a separation between the words on the paper and what I'm living out here in the world. To the point that Thomas Jefferson kept his own children as slaves. The children that he had with Sally Hemings, his manservant, Thomas, was his slave, looked just like him, had the Jefferson freckles. And in his mind, he could see that person as a slave. And when he died, when Thomas Jefferson died, his children were sold to help meet the debts for the plantation. One more share, if I may. Let's try this one. So this, I hope you can see my cursor here. This is Daniel Gordon in his elder years, the Reverend Daniel Gordon. And he had a number of children. This is his wife over here, Mariah. And if you see this little head here, the little head is peeking out, we believe that this is this woman here. This is Gwendolyn Gordon, and married to my grandfather, William Moore. And if you're into the blues, you probably have heard some of his music. If you're not familiar with him, go to William Moore and blues, and you'll see a whole bunch of, he's a pioneer of blues. And this is one of my favorite pictures. This is me and my descendants, Khadija, Aisha, and Zainab. And we took this picture a long time ago, and we can tell that because I had hair back then. And so my personal history is tied into the history of our country. I can be both proud of Francis Lightfoot Lee as a member of my family, although he wasn't proud of me. I can recognize all of these streams that are flowing through me. I can recognize my Native American heritage. I can recognize all of these things. And that gives me, as Oshalla said, something that I can reach back through time that's flowing through these veins and bring into the present. It also means I can reach back into episodes that are less than sterling, things that I would like to forget, but I'm not going to forget because that's who I am also. On Friday, or was it Saturday, there was a person who was participating who had done work at the Auschwitz concentration camp. I've been to Auschwitz twice. And if you want a feeling of how human beings can be inhuman to other beings, go to Auschwitz. And I went there not just to understand the energy of the victims of the Holocaust. I went there to understand the villains also. Who could do such a thing? Because that blood is also flowing in my veins. Okay. And so once we get there, once we can be open and honest with each other. Open and honest with ourselves, then open and honest with each other. We can start to make the progress into the next stage of our humanity of actually pretending on this planet like we're one species. Okay. Again, I would go further, but again, I'm fading here, and I'm gonna hang in
Shariff,
here.
I want to thank you for these 3 days. I want to release you to go take care of yourself. I want to thank you for all your comments, and luckily we've got Marty and Oshalla, and they have a lot to say. And I do want, before you leave, in the last 2 minutes here, just to remind people of your course that you're teaching. This is going to be a course starting on March 16th, Wednesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning. And it's an important course on practicing, emphasis on the word practicing, the 12 steps of inclusivity that he has created. And people who participate will get a copy of his book. And this is really, really important. And so please, I like what he says, take the risk out of registering, 100% money back guaranteed. Please register. And he is offering a special promo code. I believe the promo code is Awakening.
Yes, and thank you for reminding me of that. I'm going to put up in your chat box a lot of information, how you can get in contact with me, how you, the Common Way website, links to a lot of my books, including this latest one, Practicing the 12 Steps of Inclusivity, in which this course is based. And I've got a $50 discount that's only for the people in this in the Awakening sessions that we've been doing on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I'll get all that stuff up online, and I'll get that online. I'm going to hang in here with my screen off, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll put up a picture of Ronald Reagan or something, so you can know that I'm still here.
There's a blast from the past.
Yeah, no, it's hard to tell the difference here. But I'll get all that stuff up, and I'm going to be listening in as long as I can.
While I've got you pinned for a last 30 seconds, I just want to ask all of us to send prayers for healing to this beautiful man, Dr. Shariff Abdullah. Maximum grace for Shariff.
Make it feel better, Shariff. Sending you love, brother. Sending you love.
Well, I hate bailing out like this, but I also recognize I need to. I have had a tendency to sacrifice for the cause, and I at my age I need to be. I need to play myself out a little longer here. So
thank you so much for everything. Thank you, Shariff. Thank you.
Wishing you complete healing, brother. And I'll be talking with you soon.
Indeed. Yep. Yeah. And in the course, hopefully. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Scott, what time are we going to?
We've got 30 minutes left. We're going to.
Okay, because I kind of have a hard stop too, so I'm not going to get off now, but maybe about 15 minutes in.
Okay.
So we're going to leave you.
I know.
Dr. Casey.
Well, I'd love to just turn it over
right.
love to turn it over to both of you to anything you want to reflect or riff on that Shariff said, or wherever you wish to go.
No, because you have a hard stop. You go ahead and go first, please.
I'll pull out my hard stop as long as possible. We just have to get on the road. What Shariff was saying is deep about what is the blood that flows through our veins. That's why it is so important to acknowledge the ancestors, and to acknowledge the ancestors that also we're connecting with through our blood. I mean, when I did my my DNA, you know, I'm 89%, you know, of African descent, West African descent, 12%, you know, 2% Native American, 12% European, specifically coming from Ireland and England, right? For me, you know, it's who I identify with, because I didn't know those people. I'm gonna just be honest with you. Or anybody, you know, it's like, but I very much, I want to link that to what I said at the beginning of the show, is that there's always going to be horrific, awful things happening, and there's always going to be magical things happening. What do I choose to focus on? Yes, I can see, you know, Thomas Jefferson, you know, as a great orator or whatever, but I wasn't feeling him. I'm not going to focus on him. But we have to learn the, you know, Declaration of Independence and all that. So at any given time, I'm very conscious and very aware of what I'm focusing on, how I can be powerful right now. What is the, you know, why am I here in this moment? Why did the ancestors blend in that way to bring me here? Because there's really no accidents. What is done for evil is really done for good. You know, all things are put into place by the Most High. So there's some reason that I'm here with this particular makeup. And so what I'm focusing on, what I'm choosing to focus on, is really the work of healing. That's, you know, what I mean, the work of choosing where I want to put my attention on, or where but I'm not telling nobody what to do.
Well, thank you. And, you know, I think really almost all of us that are part of this Global Peace Tribe do believe that we are the ones we've been waiting for, and this is the time we've been preparing for. And, you know, I was talking to somebody, a client yesterday, who, you know, was talking about, she comes from a Christian tradition, and she sees this as the end of days, and other people see it as the age of Aquarius, and some people see it as, you know, whatever it is. But we all know this is a powerful time on the planet, and we all have a role to play. And to tune in and listen to how Spirit wants to use us is very, very important. And again, both of you are women that I respect who are doing that.
Thank you, Scott. Scott, one of the things that you wanted us to speak to today is making sure that we had some action steps in place to share. And if you don't mind, I would like to kind of switch gears
Yes,
a little bit.
please. Thank you.
And
That's good. Thank you.
oh, sure. And so I have 10 action steps, and I would like for everyone to write these down if you can, and do what you can. That's the bottom line. Just do what you can. This is no judgment, just love, right? Here we go. The first one is simply start with yourself. Start with yourself. A lot of times in these spaces and doing the work, we hear a lot of people talking and saying different things, and we get stuck on what they have done or said that we don't agree with, and we get stuck, and then we don't do anything. Let that be your motivation to move and do what you need to do. So start with you. 2, get involved. How can you even really truly give an opinion if you are not involved or making yourself available to be a part of the change? We all know what most of the problems are, but are we really willing to do the work? Are you raising your hand with an answer? Get involved. Number 3, have these hard conversations. It's so important to have these conversations. You can't keep avoiding them. We have to talk about sometimes those things that is difficult to understand or even say. But if we do it respectfully, I think we can really get to the bottom line. We don't want to just focus on the problem. We have to merge into the solution. And the only way that we can do that is by communication and having these conversations. So Scott, kudos to you for building a platform that allows us to respectfully come with our differences, yet lead
Yes, amen.
with a greater understanding. Number 4, you must be willing to donate your time and your money and any other resource that you may have available to you. Right now, again, in my opinion, my little small opinion, Ukraine would not be still standing strong if they did not receive the help that we're so willing to give them. Because this, in my opinion, is a very unnecessary war. And a hit on humanity in a way that we all will suffer. Are you donating your time and your money and your resources right now? That is how we really make the difference. World leaders don't change the world, they change themselves. Do your part. Number 5, educate yourself. If it's something you don't understand, look it up. It's okay to ask questions. Again, as we have stated so many times today, we're speaking from our own personal opinions. You don't have to just take our word for it. Go ask some other Black people. Go ask some other white people. Go and look it up for yourself. Look into history. Look and see where we are right now, and then see the future. Do what's necessary to educate yourself. And don't just educate yourself from where you stand. Some of you may be doing the work locally, but you may need to educate yourself nationally. Some of us may be on national platforms, but you may need to educate yourself globally, because all of it is combined. It's all interworking together. Number 6, look for places to insert more equity. Where is it missing on your job, in your home, in your communities? Where is it missing locally, nationally, and globally? How can you make the difference? How can you volunteer and say, you know what, I don't see enough there. I'm going to raise my hand and show up and see what I can do to be of service. Don't go in with a negative mindset, because that's where you turn and change the energy to becoming something that's not needed. If you're going in with the mindset to make a difference and to fix it, show up with your heart open to say, I am here, and I might be the only Black woman in the room, but I come to at least offer a voice so we don't leave anyone behind. Number 7, take it to social media. However, take it in an anti-racism way. You cannot look to get a positive when you see a negative and you add more negativity. You have to remain positive. See the light in darkness. And if light is not there, you be the light. Let your spirit be the light. Number 8, support small minority businesses. It is just as important for those who have created a business, and 9 times out of 10, a small minority business has jumped into business because something was missing in the world. That's where you will find really that work being done, boots on the ground. So support that effort. Give in that way to small minority businesses that you can clearly see is doing the work. Number 9, volunteer in spaces that are missing our voices. When Scott calls me to come and be on his platform, Scott knows plenty of people of my race and culture. However, I know Scott's main following is larger than let me say this, his main following may not be my culture. So I come and I say yes, because he's open to receive, and he's open to balance it out. So why would I not show up? Make sure you do that. Volunteer in those spaces. And number 10, last but not least, and you can always add to this list, and guess what? Send it to me. We don't know everything, not at all. So let's add to this list collectively. If there's something I'm missing in here that you're thinking of right now, put it in the chat. But number 10, don't just be a number in the room. Add action. When you leave here today, don't just say, oh, I was part of 34 people that was on the screen today and however many hundreds of people watching on Facebook. Don't just be a number. Be somebody that's doing something. Because if one person out of this 34 leave off of here today and go and do something, we're a lot further today than we were yesterday. Thank you.
Whew. Thank you, Dr. Marty, for just laying it out. I wrote down all 10. I will copy and get it to Unify when I can. And you mentioned one of the number 8, supporting small businesses. And so I want to use that as a segue. We'll, of course, get to the Undone Institute. But I want to go back to the Marin City Arts and Culture and have Oshalla tell us a little bit more about that, what it is. And I'm pulling it up. There we go. So this
You can go to About Us. You can go to About Us so that people can just see, although I'm still working on those links, so you don't have to click through, about who we are.
is
The
that
next one. Who we are. No, who we
who
are.
we
There
are.
you go.
Okay, great. There we go.
Yeah. So I would say there's about 75 of us and growing more and more. But it's not just artists and creators, change makers, but it's also, we just brought on a social worker who loves to do work in nature. This is about healing trauma. I really acknowledge, that for me, and I'm just going to say the word Black, that if we don't, it starts at home. And this is my work of taking personal responsibility for the things that are going on in our community. And then plus I'm an artist, and it's just more fun to, kind of bring on other artists. Nicole, she sells beautiful earrings. So you can get a lot of things online, although we're still working on our store. Feast is a fashion designer. Trevor is a journalist. And we are in Marin City. We're very locally rooted. I come from a small town. When I grew up, it was a town that was 99% folks that migrated from the South in the Second Great Migration. And so I would say, it was 99% Black people. And in Marin County, which is literally 99.9% European based. So that sense of growing up around people that had similar stories and had similar visions gave me a sense of myself. I'm going to just be honest with you that, to acknowledge, to acknowledge who I am. And that's why I'm able to show up the way that I'm able to show up strongly in all circles. Scott knows that I came to his organization as a strong, identified woman, right? And so definitely, I forget what number it was, Dr. Casey, but supporting those businesses, I'm going to say not minority though. I'm going to say support your businesses that really are rooted in community, whether they're rooted in the Black community or whether they're rooted in communities that you really support your values, whether they're eco things that support the earth. So I want to just, shout out to hers. There's a couple of things that I say in terms of things that you can do that are really concrete. and Scott may smile when I say this, I would say first thing is unplug from our local news, unplug from CNN, MSNBC. I mean, Scott and I were talking the other day, and I said, I always thought that Fox News was the evil news station. And I was like, you know what? This past 2 years, as I've been really looking at media, I've realized that, whoa, the corporate news is not our friend of the people. And that as Americans, we are really, we're really lacking. So I would say plug into international news, specifically news that's coming off the African and the Indian continent, places that, in our bubble here that we don't even hear about. There were amazing discoveries coming out of COVID early on into 2020. Rapid test was available in Senegal back in, April of 2020. Not a peep, not a report. Amazing herbal remedies that were coming out. Why did Africa fare so well? People just kind of scratched their head. Oh, I don't know. Maybe it was the sun. Maybe it was some of the scientists and the doctors that were on that continent doing stuff. But we have such implicit bias that coming out of this culture, that we know it all, that we know the best. So I would say plug in to that. I would also say understand the soft propaganda of our Hollywood system. Even then, when we're watching programs that look like they're good or look like they're integrated or just be mindful that the systems that want to control us are very clever. Think of, I'm going to go to media because media is my thing. Think of the cowboy and Indian movies when you were a child that you grew up with, whether it was John Wayne or I don't know, Scott, some of those names, not Hepburn, but the tough woman, Bonanza. I grew up watching these things, right? And just imagine that you could have an entire genocide of a group of people, horrendous things happening, and then the next generation, there's movies that glamorize it. Mm-hmm. It's actually very, very dangerous. And it's another way of mind controlling a generation. Our work is definitely influenced by the Clark study. If anybody knows the Clark study or the Brown, I'm sorry, I live next to a train track. I live next to a train track. You can hear it. Sorry if it's loud.
It's not a problem.
Okay. How many have heard of the black doll, white doll study? Okay.
And we talked about this on Friday night.
Oh, wow. That's so that
and
study.
That even the black people chose the white doll.
Oh no, but it was the black people. That's why I'm specifically looking at. Yeah, the white people did. Oh yeah, that doll's a pretty doll because it looks like me.
Right.
But and these are babies. These are children. So babies don't lie. Maybe when you get to be 12, 13, you say what you think people want you to hear. But the reality is in those formative years, for whatever reason, you think, okay, yeah, we're all one as humanity, but really deep down inside of myself, because of the images that I've been fed all of my life and the story that I've been told about myself and those around me, I deep down inside, these babies feel like I'm ugly, I'm not smart, and this white person is. How does that affect us? So when we look to volunteer our time and give our time, be really mindful. If you're coming from, if you're a white person in the dominant culture that has been used to calling people minorities, be mindful of the trauma that exists in communities as you interface with those communities, because it might seem like you're doing something that's really good, but maybe the best thing to do is to support someone in that community that is doing that work rather than you showing up. I'm not going to say, well, I could say savior, but that, yeah. That just to really watch that aspect. I'm gonna give an analysis of that, because when I say savior, it's not in a malevolent sense. So I want everyone to imagine for a moment a bag, a 250-pound bag of white rocks. Just imagine that big old bag. Okay. Then I want you to imagine a big old bag of 50 pounds of black rocks. Now I want you to get a big old barrel, clear barrel. Now I want you to pour those rocks in different degrees. Pour those rocks in from the 250-pound bag, pour the black rocks in, pour the white rocks in, pour the black rocks in. Now we're finished. Now shake up that barrel. And what are you left with? Where the story illustrates is that even with good intentions, the story that we've often told ourselves about integration, that was going to solve everything, that integration is bad, segregation is bad, and integration is good, is not, it simplifies things. Because, you know, Dr. Marty, coming from St. Louis, my goodness, that place, you know, where my family, that businesses, thriving neighborhoods, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, people were really, we didn't have to do DEI work. We didn't have to come from a place of wanting inclusion and equity, because we were doing it. And then those people were, of course, able to go out. If the society wasn't coming from so much systemic racism, they were coming from a place of groundedness. So one of the things is just that be aware of the society that we live in, and just be mindful to be able to just feel the truth and be able to have these conversations and not have them be uncomfortable, because they're just real. It's 250 million European people who identify as white in this country, and 50 million who identify as Black. And oftentimes newly arrived immigrants are working on, you know, assimilating into the dominant cultures. And the first thing oftentimes people will notice is who's on the bottom. There's a great book called, what is it? Caste, Scott? It's called Caste by Elizabeth.
CASTE.
Very good
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And it's specifically about America, and our history here in it. Because when you go, as Shariff was saying, when you go to other parts of the world, there's so many different realities, but colorism is definitely in there as part of the caste. So my work is specifically about creating safe spaces for Black people to be, and to share and connect with other people. And so I would say support organizations that create spaces of safety for their communities. Support those organizations. Let's see, understand the clear study. So that's pretty much my list. Those unplugging. Oh, and curate your own media. You know, I mean, I have gone through so many layers of decolonizing my mind and deconstructing all the lies that have been fed into my head. And it's a daily thing to not turn on those things that I'm supposed to turn on. It's like, so how do I get these other medias? How do I get that media from India? How do I get these things? Part of it is having part of your brain be emptied of all the stuff that we feel are the experts, because the story is a lot more complex. And I live with an African, so I see the news coming from a completely different place, because from an international place, it don't look the same as the news we get at all.
Not at all.
And I was in Ukraine, and when it was USSR, right at Glasnost. And so the people who live in that area, they're cousins. They're cousins, Ukraine, Russia. And so from a geopolitical place, the complexities of that situation, there's a lot of complexity there, and there's a lot of complexity to our system. So I would say that before we focus so out there, focus here. Because we ain't angels here in how we've treated the rest of the world, lest we forget.
Shayla, before you go, can I just share something with you? Because I know you have a hard stop, but I want to share this.
Please do. Ooh.
On yesterday, I received a resolution here in my city from the Black Caucus, Resolution 193. And in this very top one there, if you can see that word, is a word that I've coined called activist. I am an activist. I am a professional actress and an activist.
Yes.
And I am determined to only use my voice and my gifts to not only preserve our history, but bridge us to a better future. And again, the way that we do that is by way of what you just shined a light on so eloquently in the beginning of this, is that we have to be aware of what is being created and what's being shown on media and through our movies and our songs and all of these forms and tunnels of how we allow these stories to come back inside of us. And so as an activist, it is important to me, and I am calling all others in the world of artistry to do the same. And like I said, that is now a part of the Resolution 193 here from the Black Caucus in St. Louis, Missouri. So that is etched in history. And that's the very first thing. It says, whereas Dr. Marty K. Casey, performance artist and activist, has procreated and given meaning to a new word, activist. And so I invite you in the space that you create, my sister, to please use that as much as you can, motivating the artists where you are and beyond, to always put that word first. Being an activist or an activist, it is so important that you consider who we are and where we're trying to go and the stories that we tell, that we are responsible in that manner of telling the truth, telling the stories in truth, and giving it a place of growth, not to harm anyone else, but to help us to elevate in a greater place than where we are right now. So thank you for bringing that up.
Well, let me just say, Dr. Marty, you say the artist where I am and beyond. No, you are, you are one of us now. No, you're going to be with MC Arts and Culture. Come on now. No, really. It's not just a local. No, we like, no. We're having a sister city in Ghana called Elmina. And we're like, oh yeah, no. So connections. So thank you, Scott, for bringing us, get everybody on this call. Really, thank you and blessings to you all for just sitting and having these conversations. Let's just keep on keeping it real. Can we keep it real?
Keep it real.
Can we keep it real? Can we? We don't all have to agree, but I'll tell you one thing I've noticed about international media that's not happening here anymore is debate. Even during COVID, I didn't see anybody debating here. It's like, whatever happened? It's like, what's going on? The debate's fake. It's like all
there's no
one-sided.
debate because everybody was right. Right.
or just yeah. And what's fascinating, and I'll drop it. I'll give you the address of this really good. Yesterday we were watching an Indian news outlet. They're actually one of the few that are on the ground right now in Ukraine, like the old war reporters out there. The bombs are in the back. They're on the ground. But they were the gentleman was hosting a debate with some American civil servants and other people. And I mean, and of course they were, going back and forth, but it was amazing. Like, no, they didn't agree. Absolutely, they did not agree. But it wasn't like a soft not agreeing. They were some really issues that were really serious. And the debate is not about one side being right or wrong. It's about the public being educated as a result of hearing those debates. CNN is not giving us those debates. MSNBC is not giving us those debates. It's an illusion. So I would say, Scott, you when you talk about like the illusions of where we're at in general, our media is an illusion. Those stations that I just mentioned, And I used to be there, not too long ago, but I've learned, and it's pretty scary. So I would say that that's a big one for all of us, and on this call, and for all of you to even be on this call, taking your time, pass this on to your children and have conversations with them about these conversations.
Thank
So
you.
I do have a hard stop, but oh my goodness, I just
We'll let you go. We'll let you go. We love you,
Bye-bye.
Oshalla.
See you, sister.
All
Wow.
right,
God bless
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody. Please do support. We're going to go talk about the Undone Institute next. But again,
We'll talk, Dr. Marty. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Um,
Bye-bye. Love you.
so please support the Marin City Arts and Culture. I've put the link in, and I'll put it in one more time. We're going to hear all about the Undone Institute. And we are going to conclude by bringing Dr. Brenda is with us. Dr. Brenda Wade is with us. We're going to talk about a very special program that we've added for tonight. And then we'll conclude with a prayer for peace. So we're going to go probably till 12 noon. Dr. Marty, if you need to leave before then, after we, talk about Undone, that's totally okay. And anybody else who needs to leave, we understand. But there's a lot going on, and the Global Peace Tribe expands, our events expand, and it just always takes a little more time than we originally planned.
Well,
Dr.
this
Marty,
is, I'm sorry,
yeah.
go ahead, Scott.
Well, first of all, I love your 10 steps. Thank you so much. And I scribbled them all down in the chat box, and already somebody said, Scott, can you make a special video? So I will do that. And I'll get it over to Unify. Thank you for doing that, because that's what the show is about. And you, of course, everything that was said was important, but thank you for bringing us back to an intention that we had of, okay, these are specific things you can do. And it was very simple. I love that each one of those was simple to understand, not always simple to accomplish, but simple to understand. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. And I went to gallery view because I like to see faces. And first of all, I do see Dr. Brenda in her beautiful blue this morning. Hello, sister. Good to be in this room, in this space with you this morning. Oh, and I see Christy Michaels. Oh my gosh. Hi, Christy. Good morning. Scott, I have to tell you, because you had me on this show, and we got to bring Christy forward here. Because you had
I've
me
spotlighted Christy and Dr. Brenda. So right
okay,
now,
I have it on gallery view on my screen right now because I just like to see everyone. That's where I really draw from the energy of it being inclusive to everyone. But I understand why you're doing what you're doing. But I have to just share that you had me on, I think a month and a half ago or so.
Martin Luther King weekend.
Okay. And Christy Michaels was listening in as she's doing right now. And she contacted me after the show. We have become the best of friends now. I mean, I'm going everywhere with this lady. Wherever she needs me to go, I'm going. It's a yes.
We had fun. The joy factor went up big time. It was like, and that Oshalla, she's one of my top lead ritual players with me. She and I have done many ceremonies together.
Oh, I absolutely love
and
it.
when we bring you out here, we're going to go and do a ceremony at the Marin City Arts and Cultural Center, because that's where Mwanza sings.
Oh my gosh, I should have known. And listen, and Mwanza called me yesterday. She says, darling, this is your auntie.
Yeah.
So I love it. Scott, you are creating the very essence, Scott, of what you, the question that you ask of how basically can we be better together?
Yes.
That's the premise of who you are and what you have created with your platform. If they just look at what you're doing, there's the answer.
Hear, hear. I couldn't agree with you more, Dr. Marty, because what I love about the grounding that Scott brings is the grounding is what connects all of us, which is our spirit. We are all, Hu means light and Man means being. We are light beings, and we have been in this hypnosis of separation and difference and who's bad, who's wrong. And yes, there have been perpetrators. Yes, there has been harm done. Yes, there's a brainwashing of 440 years of people who look brown and black are bad and people who look so-called white, they're all pink actually, are good. And it's very important for us to go deeper, and you cut so deeply. I was listening to you. I was on the show all morning listening to you, Dr. Marty, and how you bring art. Rudolf Steiner, the great German philosopher, said art is the window to the soul, but he got that inspiration from the African healers and shamans who would do singing and drumming and dancing as a way of healing. And indeed, art is the window to the soul. And Scott, I always have to just thank you from the bottom of my heart for holding the space, for creating this platform where this kind of energy, this kind of work can be done, because it's your gift to the world that you do this for all of us. And I just can't acknowledge you enough, because it is so unique. It is, I speak all over the world, and this is the most unique platform of any that I've had the privilege to participate in. So I'm very grateful.
Well, it's because all these amazing people, and I love watching when you all connect and meet each other, and again, I think most of us recognize, and we've heard the analogy many times, and I'll say it 1,000 more times probably, of the old paradigm is dying, and it is the caterpillar that is dying. And sadly, that caterpillar still has a Putin that can create, chaos. But as the old paradigm dies, all the imaginal cells feel this chaos. Imagine as a caterpillar is dying, it's chaotic and it's scary, and what's going on? And there's this death going on, but the imaginal cells find each other, and Marty discovers Dr. Brenda, and Christy Michaels discovers Oshalla, and Oshalla discovers, Shariff, and everybody watching, everyone on Unify, everybody watching, we're discovering each other, and the imaginal cells come together and coalesce to become the new paradigm. That is what's happening. That is our awakening world. People are attracted to a show called The Awakening World because they understand that that's what's happening. We are awakening individually and collectively.
Indeed.
Love it. I love it. That's beautiful, Scott. I do want to share one last little story, if you will, before.
Absolutely. And also we want to take a look at the Undone Institute too.
Oh, sure. Well, this little part I want to share. How many of you are familiar with the mustard seed? Anybody knows about a mustard seed? And we know how big is a mustard seed?
Itty bitty.
Tiny.
Yes.
And so I am of the Christian faith, and we talk about the mustard seed a lot, and speaking about the size of the mustard seed. And so I started to research that a little bit better. And what I was seeing is that it's not about the size. It's not about the size of the mustard seed. What's the brilliance of the mustard seed is the fact that it's the conditions in which it can grow. The mustard seed is like one of the only seeds that really can grow in almost any extreme condition, being real cold or really warm. It needs very little light, very little water. And when the mustard seed grows, it grows into a plant, a size tree, the size of a tree. It's like almost 6 feet tall. So imagine this little bitty seed growing this great big plant, towering over other plants in the garden. Some of us are scared to grow from a place of chaos and darkness. And if you knew that you will grow into something so big and loved and useful, don't allow conditions to scare you. If I was a person that only showed up in good conditions, you would not have ever met me.
Yeah.
I am a Black woman born in bad conditions. I was born with skin cancer, and the doctors told my parents I wouldn't even live to be 5 years old. But I had a praying great-grandmother, and she began to lay hands on me and speak life over me. And at 51, I'm still here today. Conditions, if you lean into them and you allow your faith to be strong, you will grow and become that person of purpose. Your purpose lies in the conditions in which you grow. People of Ukraine will become one of the strongest people on this earth because of the conditions that they're leaning into right now. Black people coming from slavery, we are some of the most, what's the word I'm looking for?
Resilient.
Resilient is, I'll take that. We're some of the most resilient people on this earth because of our experiences of what we've been through and what we was able to survive. We learned to lean into it and say, what happened to us doesn't define who we are. But we will grab a hold of our history and we will continue to grow. And we will be better than what was. But we will never forget what was. Because the moment that we forget history and we hide history, we will repeat it all over again. That is the very reason that I show up the way that I do, and I believe most people are the same. So I say to you, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, the faith of a little bitty seed, and you lean into the conditions, if it's dark, you be the light. You need water, who's pouring into you? Look around and see who's pouring into you. Is it Fox News? Is it CNN? Who's pouring into you? And if who's pouring into you is not what you need to grow, then you let your tears flow and you pour into yourself. You wet yourself. But you continue to grow. I want to leave with this last little thing, and this is it. I have the faith to see the invisible, expect the incredible, receive the impossible, faith that can conquer anything, faith to uproot our problems, faith to know God, He can solve them, faith to envision my freedom. I have faith that can conquer anything. Faith to reach the unreachable. Faith to fight the unbeatable. Faith to remove the unmovable. Faith that stands the invincible. Faith that can conquer anything. Let's hold on to the faith, because I'm telling you right now, we may be at war, but we shall reach peace if we just have faith the size of a mustard seed. We can see this war come to an end, and we all can live in peace because we are all made out of love.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. I know those notes were all over the place, but it was about the message.
They pierce the heart.
It's about the message. And I just want you all to remember the mustard seed. Hold on to your faith. No
Thank
matter
you.
what the conditions are, be the light. Allow someone to pour into you or pour into yourself, but just continue to grow strong. Amen. And thank you.
Thank you,
Everybody-
Dr. Marty.
And everybody, I do want to remind people, we didn't talk about it very much today, but she has a beautiful organization called the Undone Institute, which is all about disarming trauma. She works with young people applying her incredible skills as an actress, singer, as an activist, supporting her community, supporting people. So please go to the Undone Institute. You can donate there. You can learn all about her work she's doing there and click contact. And then when you click contact, you can put in your name, your email address, so Dr. Marty can start, gathering your information and let you know about the wonderful work she's doing. Dr. Marty, God bless you 1,000 times. Thank you so much. Thank you. Before I bring on Dr. Brenda, we're going to go from Dr. Marty to Dr. Brenda. I want to read a few of the comments that have come in, and I really want to thank everybody watching on Facebook and on Unify. And there are always so many comments in our Zoom room and Unify, and I can't get to all of them, but there are a couple that I just want to kind of acknowledge the people watching around the world. And Dr. Brenda, I don't know if you heard, we have people, especially on Unify, from all over the world.
I
People
did
from
hear. I've been
Croatia,
with you since
Spain.
before you started this morning.
Oh my God, well, bless you. Then you heard that. And I just love that.
It's incredible. That's our global family. And you've given birth to this possibility for all of us to connect. And do we need that connection right now? We need it so desperately
We
that
do.
we start to experience ourselves as one family. Because there's only one race, the human race.
We
like
are
me.
the global peace tribe.
Yeah.
We are the global peace tribe. So a couple of comments. Marseille Marquis writes, your purpose lies within the conditions from which you grow
Mhm.
is so powerful.
Mhm.
And we do need one another to bear witness to our spirit of survival. Thank you. Shaban Lennon writes, I love this. I was guided to listen to this. Love and the faith of the mustard seed is fantastic. Thank you in Jesus' holy name. And again, so appreciate the people of all faiths, all races, all cultures. Sue, these are all people watching on Unify. Sue writes, when we have mixed bloodlines, we are obliged to integrate the energies involved in order to arrive at a healthy state of oneness within and around us.
Deep insight. That's
Isn't that a
beautiful.
profound
That's beautiful.
statement? And then she concludes, which is true, this involves deep inner and outer trauma work. And I know, Dr. Brenda, you and I as coaches do a lot of that work. And then finally, there's a beautiful story about a child. And this comes from Jeka. Oh gosh, I'm not going to pronounce it properly, probably. I think she's Croatian. Jeka Kromja. She writes, my child at the age of 3 did not accept to join her fellows in the kindergarten to bully another child. She told me, quote, Mommy, I don't like when many people torture another. Imagine at 3 knowing the word torture. So if a child at the age of 3 can make decisions and stay ahead of the herd, also everyone else has the power to say no to the bad decisions, even if they are being made by their own family members.
Wow.
So thank you, everyone, and thank you to people who wrote in comments and joined us that I haven't had an opportunity to publicly acknowledge, but every one of you watching, including all of you watching the recording, more and more people are watching the replays on YouTube. Last week, we had over 5,000 views on one of our shows on YouTube. So more and more people are learning about us and watching us, and All of you are precious. So thank you.
And everyone, Scott, I hope imbibing this energy of interconnectedness, this energy of oneness, that there's no way forward for us as a humanity, even for our planet, unless we can embrace this oneness. So thank you for bringing that in. And what Dr. Marty just did, that beautiful song about faith, to have faith that together, all of us opening our hearts, all of us opening our minds, this is the key. This is the key. And to become better educated, better acquainted, better connected. There are so many ways to open more space intellectually, the heart, spiritually. All of it is so crucial right now.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And we have one more opportunity this weekend to continue our education, to continue to learn. Dr. Brenda has put together at the last minute, I think we first started talking about this on like Thursday. We're going to do a special event for the Global Peace Tribe tonight at 6 o'clock Pacific time. I recognize it's 9 o'clock Eastern, but you Easterners are hardy folk.
Those Easterners are night owls. We know
They
that.
are night owls, so God bless them. Dr. Marty, tell us about what's going to be taking place tonight.
So this Power of Invisible History is based on a film called Invisible History. The film was created by Valerie Schoon. You'll see her there in the photo, and she just won an Emmy for the film. It's an extraordinary telling of history in one tiny microcosm of Florida, Leon County. But it turns out that 40% of all African people who were sold into slavery went to Leon County because it was the cotton growing capital of the world. And she takes the lens very tightly on that county, and then you can see the expanded lens. We also have Lindbergh Porter, who is a very prominent attorney who is working in the state of Mississippi right now on doing everything possible to revert from this, I can't even get the words out because it upsets me so much, the voter suppression that's going on, and to find a way for people of color to be able to vote again. Turns out Cecile Schoon will not be able to join us, Scott. I just got that word. She's the president of the Florida State chapter of the League of Women Voters. And most of you may not know, but because I just learned this myself a couple of years ago, the League of Women Voters is bipartisan. The only thing they care about, it's not your political party, it's that everyone gets to vote. And you all know that 40% of the laws passed in the South right now are laws making it harder for Black people to vote. We've gone back to the pre-1964 Voter Rights Act. So we're now back before 1964 with these laws. 40% of all the ballots that have been mailed in Mississippi have been sent back because there's a tiny little box on the back of the ballot down in a corner where if you don't put all the information, copy of birth certificate, social security number, other things that many people don't even have, people who are indigent or elders. And so their ballots are sent back. They can't vote because those laws were just put into place, and there are all sorts of repressive laws. So this is what we'll be talking about, but I have to, in all honesty and humility, tell you, until I saw Val's film, I didn't fully understand how financial disparities actually were created. I assumed, of course, from enslavement, there was a steep climb to get to parity, but there's so much more to the story. And she interviews figures who are absolutely historic in the documentary. She has footage. I don't even know how she was able to get this footage, very, very old footage, looking at the whole sweep of the invisible history and what we can learn from it, and how, most importantly, we can make choices today to change some of these laws, to be part of the solution, to be part of what is needed right now. And I call it being woke, just being aware, being educated, being informed, so that we can be part of the solution, not, as Dr. King used to say, part of the problem.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Brenda. And again, everybody, join us. Of course, you can watch on all these channels, Facebook and Unify and YouTube, but it's also...
And we'll have clips of the movie. You'll get to see
clips from the
some
movie.
footage from the film, yeah.
And a reminder, Dr. Brenda, that I need to get those clips.
Gotcha.
Or join us in the Zoom room. And the Zoom room is right there. I'll put it into the chat boxes. A couple of things, and then we're going to go into a final prayer for peace. But I want to address what has come up many times over the weekend. So Susan in our Zoom room writes, "We are more alike than different. Why must we concentrate on these differences rather than in these similarities? We are one race, the human race." So thank you for that, Susan. And I want to address it. We live on a planet of polarity. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And I understand and promote all the time the power of remembering oneness. And so that's one end of the scale. Yes, we do need to remember that we are all one humanity. But the other end of the scale is celebrating our diversity. And honestly, and I'm not accusing you of this now, Susan, but historically, even well-intentioned white people have used the oneness as a spiritual bypass to not take in the pain of the murder of Black people by white policemen, of the prejudice and the things that Dr. Brenda is talking about right now that's going on in the South. And so we need to find, as the Buddha said, always take the middle road. So we do need to honor and acknowledge our diversity and our differences, while acknowledging that, yes, at the biggest level, we are all drops in the ocean of God, or however you want to look at it. But it is important for us, especially speaking as a white man who's been privileged, not to use my fundamental appreciation of the oneness of all to bypass the painful reality that other people experience, that I might even be supporting by certain choices that I make that are more comfortable or more convenient, or just what I know, or just what I was raised with. And so that's why we have these conversations. That's why on the Awakening World, yes, 1 week we're talking about oneness, but at the same time, we do need to talk about social and racial justice, right? There's work to be done. And yes, let's abide in the remembrance of our divinity and that we are all one with God. But then let's also look at what are the Dr. Marty 10 action steps we can take, because we have to do that as well. So that's kind of my response to you, Susan, and thank you so much.
If I can add something to what you said, Scott, behind you, you have beautiful plants. Each one of those plants is contributing something that's different. And if you're being oppressed, if you're being suppressed, if you're under attack as a human, you can't give all of your gifts in the world. There's so much more that a Dr. Marty can do. There's more that each of us can do, that we can give, that we can contribute if we have true freedom to cultivate our humanity and share it. And your plants are all putting oxygen in different colors and different light into the atmosphere. Each one of us has something that we were gifted with. I learned, I have to just quickly say, I learned this most deeply when I taught in the first classroom for Down syndrome children. That previously people said, oh, you know, they can't learn. Those children taught me what pure love is, because that was their gift, pure love.
Scott, can I just add one, like 3 seconds is all I
I'm
need.
so glad you're still here. I'm
Still here.
if you're still here, I am going to actually recruit you for our prayer for peace since you're still here. So
Okay, well, wonderful. Well, before I do that, because then I'm going to do that in a special way of what I did with Christy and I the other week. But what I would like to do right now is give a little bit of advice, which is ADVICE. A is action, D is dedication, V, vote, I, inclusive, C, collaborate, E, educate. Let's all take that little bit of advice. Let's show up and do better so we can be better.
Oh, that's fabulous. May I borrow that?
You can.
Thank you.
You
definitely make
can.
sure that gets into the chat box. It went by too fast for me to write
Okay,
it.
I'll say it again.
Oh, hang on, give me a second here.
Okay.
A is
Action.
okay.
D, dedication. V, vote. I, inclusiveness, or be inclusive.
Right.
Mhm.
C, collaborate. That's what you do so well, Scott.
Mhm. He's the king.
He's the king of collaboration. We're gonna get him a t-shirt, king of collaboration. All right. E, educate.
Beautiful. Thank you. We got them in. All right.
All right.
Those are beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you. So now,
Here.
if you're ready for the prayer, tell me when.
So what I want to do is I am going to bring up for us all to look at this. So I'm going to screen share and then invite Dr. Marty to lead us in a prayer for peace. And of course, we want peace for our world. But again, I do want us to especially send peace to everybody impacted Ukraine. I have so much compassion for the Russian soldiers that got duped into this. These kids who thought that they were in a training exercise, and all of a sudden they're being asked to shoot and kill their cousins and their close family members, because the Ukraine and Russia are their cousins, and they don't want to be there. So, this is peace for Ukraine. To me, means anybody who is impacted by Putin's war. And I hope that it goes down in the history books as Putin's war, because as best as I can tell, he's about the only person who wants this to be happening.
Absolutely. Power and privilege equals war.
So go ahead, Dr. Marty. I turn it over to you.
So, thank you. So what I would like for us to do right now, I want to be inclusive. I can't teach something that I'm not willing to do. So I'm going to ask everyone right now to use the chat. And I want you to go to the chat and I want you to add one word to the chat for this war, for Ukraine, for peace on earth, for us to be better and to do better. And I will take your words and collectively in this collaboration, place it into prayer form. So if I can ask everyone right now, as we begin to see the words coming through, dear Heavenly Father, we come before you, oh God, and we come together as one, as we have been speaking about and praying about today. We know where 2 or 3 are gathered, that you shall be in the midst. And we understand that although I may be praying as a Christian woman, wherever you are so led through your prayers and being channeled from right now, I ask you to just be in touch with that right now, right where you are, because we are praying for humanity and we are praying for reunification. It's so important for us to have reunification all around the world, globally, nationally, and locally, and even in our homes. Reunification, it is so important. Peace. In order for us to even reach peace, we understand we're going to have to even the playing field in some sort of way. That means somebody's got to give up something in order for somebody to gain something. And then together we will and we shall live in peace. May peace prevail on earth. And we understand that even with forgiveness, that's a place where we can start right now today. I ask that you forgive anyone who has caused any harm intentionally or unintentionally against you or your family. Even forgive yourself. There are some things that we are holding on where we have not even forgiven ourselves. And so therefore that block doesn't even allow us to be channeled for the forgiveness to flow in and outwardly through us to forgive others. We must live at a place where we will see peace on earth in order to leave a peaceful earth with the bees and the trees and the water and everything in between for our children and our children's children. We must see peace on earth and be together in doing this. It has to be bigger than one person, bigger than one nation. It has to be, the oneness has to be who we are, unified together on this earth. And therefore, I believe miracles will fall. Miracles will fall. We can create miracles right now if we just love thy neighbor. If we love thy neighbor, some of us are living next door to people, we've been living next door to them for years and we don't even bother to speak. We don't even know their names anymore. Let's start creating those miracles. Because we know that through those miracles, and if we're able to keep the faith, if we're able to just keep the faith, we will see peace on earth. And I know that we can do that because we are compassionate people. That is what God intended us to be through humanity, compassionate people, because we are the overseers of this earth to make sure that the water is healthy and flowing and the trees are healthy and growing and all of the animals are healthy and growing. Everybody has purpose. Love and unity is necessary because we are one of them. We're all of them. We are all of these things on earth. We are one. So if we just take a pause right now and we notice the breaths of each of us as our chest begins to rise and fall, I know that you are alive and you deserve to live. And I know that we can choose to love one another. Because when our eyes are closed, we see each other the same. Sometimes our eyes being open, it fails us because we start to zoom in on things that's not necessary to see. So the very moment that you start to feel disconnected and stand in a place of judgment of your brother and sister standing next to you, close your eyes so you can become one with them. That's a sacredness that we can practice. It's an action that we can take because we are worthy. And I know today, as we have built this collective prayer, that when we leave this space, we will all have the courage to do these things today. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Marty. Thank you.
Ashe.
I so appreciate that everybody wrote their words, and I'm just going to read the words so everybody who took the time to write a word feels heard. And as I read each word, let's just bless it and imagine it and send it out to our world, and especially to Ukraine. A woman, courage, worthy, action, sacredness, choice, notice, pause. We are one with them. Somebody cheated and used multiple words. Love, unity, compassion, faith, miracles. Love thy neighbor. Together, peace on earth, forgiveness, peace, reunification, humanity. These are the words that are our intentions. These are the words that bring us together. These are the words that each of you longs for. And that's what we are, doing our best each and every day, moment by moment, to co-create. Thank you, Dr. Marty. Thank you, Dr. Brenda. Thank you, people coming from all over the world. Omashar, all the way in Peru, and Christy just down the road in Marin County, and everybody else. God's blessings. We will see you hopefully at 6 o'clock Pacific time tonight. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful way to conclude our weekend. And thank you, everybody. And share this out. Share this out over, with your friends. Take the replays and the recordings and share it, because so much was shared today and this weekend that we all need to learn and grow from. Thank you.
Please ask that people will share for the event tonight. Even if you can't make it, we do want this invisible history to be part of the education that Dr. Marty was speaking to.
Absolutely. So
thank you,
please
Scott.
share that out. Please share that out. I'll put up on my Facebook page right now the poster for it in the Zoom room, so it'll be easy for you to copy and paste and send. Thank you, Dr. Brenda. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Thank you. Love you all so
Love
much.
you.
I'll go to gallery view one there we go. Turn on your cameras, people. Don't be shy. Turn on your cameras. So then thank you, Dr. Nana Queenie. Queenie is with us. There we go. People are turning their cameras on. There's Anna and Deacon Jen, Mark Schneider, Melinda, Shoshana. Thank you. Thank you. Susan, Parjanya. Thank you, everybody, for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Oh,
God bless your soul.
Deacon, thank you so much, Jen. You have been so awesome and beautiful in the chat. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. Reach out to me
learned
anytime.
a lot on this live, and we should have more of these connections with each other.
Scott,
'cause
someone
we're
is
all
asking if
family.
you can put the info in the chat.
Okay, I will. So I'm going to go back to, go ahead. I'm going to
Absolutely, Jen. You make sure you stay connected with me. You have such a sweet spirit, and whatever I can do to be in a space with you again, I would try to make that happen.
Yes, surely.
And Melinda, oh, Melinda's praying right now. I noticed you the entire time as well. And my spirit is being drawn to you right now. I just want to ask, is there anything that you would like to share of what this experience has been for you today?
I just find it a beautiful event, and I've been watching it online for the last, well, since it started actually. And I just want to, I guess, grow with people and know more. There's just a strange time. It's going to be a new world soon. So I think the more togetherness we have, the better off we'll be.
Hear, hear.
Yes, thank you.
Very
you for
wise.
sharing. Thank you for sharing. And Scott, I know that you're trying to wrap it up and we must go, but my spirit is just calling to just ask if there's anyone before we release, that it may be something that they need to say, again, honoring who we are and what we've shared. It's not necessarily being in agreement, but we want to respectfully keep the space in an energetic, positive field. So, but if there's someone that would like to come forth, because my spirit is just pulling on me in that healing space, saying that there may be someone that just need to say something, that today you received a place of healing. Today you've gone a little higher. Today the light is shining a little brighter. Is there anyone that we can end with that would like to share?
I can.
Yes, Terry.
I just want to say you really healed me. I've been very depressed for the past few days. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry. Bless you.
Thank you.
I really like to talk about the ancestors. I was adopted and I did my ancestry DNA, and I came back with so much African American, European, and my dad's cousin was actually from Memphis, Tennessee, and she's a doctor as well. And I've been following her footsteps. So as a deacon in my church now, she was as well. It's just been a great journey, and I cannot be any more happier.
My goodness.
Thank
blessings,
you.
blessings,
That's beautiful.
blessings. That's what I'm feeling right now. I felt a shift. I felt that, and I just wanted to acknowledge that because we build together. This is not just us being on here, being some talking heads. We're on here because we can build together. And I appreciate you all pouring back into us by sharing what has transformed with you in these last couple of hours. Scott, you should be smiling from the inside out because, sir, this is what it's all about. And you have created this safe space for this to happen. Blessings to you, Scott.
Yes, amen.
Thank you. And I need to go eat.
Bless your heart.
Probably most of us do.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 more sessions this afternoon, and then of course the show tonight. But I do love each and every one of you, and it's great to get to know many of you. It's wonderful when you turn your cameras on and interact because we see your names. And again, we're all part of this global peace tribe coming together. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Scott. I
We'll
love
see you at
you.
6 o'clock.
Praying for
See
you,
you
Terry.
later.
Bye,
Blessing.
Dr. Brenda. Bye-bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Marty. I love you, dear.
Bye.